We're doing the Wasatch Taxpayers Association Heber City Council debate. This is the second question, which is everyone here supports transparency and openness with the government and the citizens. I'd like to hear some of your ideas of what you want to do in the future to encourage and support that. Ryan, why don't you start first? Give us some of your ideas of how to be more transparent and open with the public.
So I think we've learned a good lesson after what happened with Heber Light and Power and the power poles. It reflected a certain amount of what I'll just call tone deafness to the reality that surrounds us. And I think there's a lot of things we can do to be proactive. There have been some changes made to the city's website, and those are great changes, and they're proactive, and they're steps in the right direction. And of course, we can continue to go further than just our website and social media. I think the city should be more proactive about anticipating some of these bigger issues, the more important issues that have generated a lot of interest, and making sure that we're putting notices out in as many different avenues and for as possible to make sure that everybody who wants to participate and who wants to see what's going on has that chance. I think you can find city council agendas, but you have to dig for them a little bit. And really, if you don't know what you're looking for and you don't know the right links to travel, you could have the best of intentions, but you're just not going to find them. I think we can, every day of a city council meeting or the few days before, post the agenda in a very conspicuous manner so it's easily located by members of the public so they can see, here's what the council's talking about, here's what's on the docket, what's going on, and then they can click the links to see what the staff reports are, to see what the different attachments and exhibits are. I think that's we can only benefit from that. Another idea, I'm a big fan of stealing the best ideas. One thing I know that other cities do is on the day of council meetings, a member of the council will appear on a local radio station and talk through the agenda with the radio host. There's no right preferences given as to which member of the council. I think they just rotate through at random, or sometimes the city manager or the mayor appears as well. And you know every Tuesday morning on the radio station you can tune in at this time and they're going to be talking through the agenda with a member of the council who's there. I think the community can only win. I think that's a great thing. I'd like to push for it. I'd like to see that type of transparency and that type of dialogue continue between the elected representatives and the citizens.
Hear, hear. I totally agree. I think we need to put more information out to the public.
How?
Radio station that would do that?
Well, I think the radio stations, social media, I think we need to do summaries of the meetings. And I think it's unfortunate that a lot of these big projects, the public doesn't know about any of it until that public notice gets stuck in a random spot along the roadside, and all of a sudden you have people that are up in arms because they didn't know. You know, I think the annexation committee has been really good about putting things out in the public and getting input. We've had 4 different public open houses and talking to people and getting survey information. We should be doing that on every big issue. Everything that we have that we're moving forward with. I would love to see more input opportunities at the farmers market. You know, we have 500, 600 people there. We should be taking information and surveys. We did that the last farmers market, or maybe the second to last farmers market. We need to ask the public, what do they want as we move forward? So I think Ryan has some great suggestions.
I've agreed we're not going in any particular
Yeah, we're going
order.
to just
So
go ahead
if I
and
could
go.
jump in.
Sure.
One of the things, I believe in all what has been said so far, but one of the proactive things that Heidi and I tried to do, we put it on the agenda, the other 3 voted it down. But I think it's important, I hope if I get in, someone else will, and we put it back up there, because we ask, I mean, here we are, I'm an incumbent, I'm proud of my record, I'm not hiding from it, but I don't think the public can find what I did. We asked that every agenda item, the recorder put a 1 sentence what it was about and how everybody voted. How in the world else are you gonna, you gotta read through the whole minutes to know, I'm happy with my record. Really, my campaign was, look what I've done, I'll do the same another 4 years.
But you can't abstain from voting on important issues.
But nobody
and be
can
proud of that.
find what we voted on, whether we abstained or not. I voted a lot more than I abstained, okay? And I announced the day I got elected to the other councilmen, if I don't understand an issue, to vote for or against it, I will abstain. Okay?
I think that what has already been talked about is the thing that we need to do. But I do like it, there's a record of how everybody voted, whether it's abstained, whether it was for or against, and that needs to be in an easy, identifiable place. So at this time right now, I wish I could go without going through all of the minutes and find out who voted for what and how it went, both in the planning commission and the city council. I think them are all meetings, and I think if a person could go back and look at them and say, well, he voted for that, but now he's saying he's against it, what changed his mind? It would come with questions that the public could ask us. Why have you had that change of mind? What's caused that? I think that's important that you can go through that easily and quickly, and that's just updating the website and doing the things that, like Ryan had talked about. And it's coming, but it's coming slow. And I think the other thing is that I remember when that agenda was posted in the Wasatch Wave, and they went away from that. I don't think they're doing that anymore, and when I heard, the last I heard, it was because of a cost thing. Well, that might be a necessity. Some costs are a necessity. But I think the other thing is I'll give you my phone number right now and it won't change if I'm elected. I appreciate the phone call. You can call me and I'll tell you what's on the agenda, or you can come visit me. I'm not afraid to answer my phone, and I'll be there to give you what I know.
Well, and I know that what the motion was to make a tally right on the website, right? To make it very accessible for the public to see what was decided on each item, instead of, as somebody who has read through a lot of minutes to the meetings, that would be a good thing to do. So, I mean, I'm saying that would really be helpful for the citizens to learn this a little bit easier than they've had to in the past. Mike, what ideas do you have?
You know, I'd like to compliment the city council the last 4 years or so. I think they've really made huge strides. You can listen to the city council meetings online. They do post things on, I'm not a big social media guy, but I still see them. You know, especially the police department will post things. I see things coming from city staff about what's coming up. So I see notices around town, you know, with big yellow boards, and this is what's coming. So I think they've done a good job moving forward, much better than the past years. But there's still improvements. I would like to be able to watch the city council meetings. So, Kendall, I saw you here. You can watch the county meetings. You can actually see, there's 2 cameras. You can see the county council people, and you can see the audience and what they're saying. I think the audio fails half the time because I sit in my office and try to listen to it, and I can't hear.
You don't know who's talking.
It failed.
If you don't know people's voices, you don't.
Not Kendall's, the cities.
The cities.
The counties has been, except that one time. So I think the city's done a good job. I think we can just go forward.
Some of the council persons don't get close enough to the mic.
Yeah, you
Yeah, that's the
can't
whole
hear
problem.
people, or you don't know who's talking.
And you don't, yeah.
So the citizen that isn't in the meetings like we are a lot, they don't recognize voices and know who's talking. And then half the time, people are leaning back in their chairs and you can't even hear them talk. Ron?
I need to
If I don't want to finish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I think there's a lot of things the city council does that are just mundane. And I don't really care how people vote. What the citizens really care about is where are we going? What is the vision? What is the plan that this council is putting in place? And that's what I'd like to see advertised. And it's hard to get citizens involved. Look at the number of people here. It's 2 to 1, you know.
That's why we're recording it and it's video.
It's really, right, and that's why it needs to be recorded, and the city's done a good job, you can find that. But I think we've got to find ways to get citizens more involved on committees and recommending committees that would say, hey, for example, I've talked to a few people recently, and they want to talk about bike lanes and bike trails and paths, and how do we do it? they're the experts, these are the hardcore bikers. And so if we could get some more input from people, maybe, and allow these groups to be formed, I think that would tell the council, these are the important things that maybe, and we don't have to do all the work as a council. We can let other people do the work.
There should be a lot more citizen committees.
Citizen
It shouldn't just be
involvement.
the council members that go out and do all these committees. Why not expand these to citizen committees and encourage more general citizens to be sitting on these boards?
Like this envision
Well,
meeting.
and we just
Thank
did, we just approved an open space bike lane committee just the last
Yes.
council meeting.
Yeah.
We've got the Wasatch Open Lands boards that Heidi's on. things
Jeff?
like that.
Go ahead.
Well, I think it's important for the public to become involved in committees, but I've also seen over the years, we advertise, we say we want people to volunteer to see if they want to serve on it, and we can't
No one
find
comes.
anybody. So I think it's kind of a two-way street. I think that the summarizing of the votes, as Ron said, that it was a 3-2 against, and I was one of the ones against, because there was an implication that we wanted to go back in the minutes and recreate this, which would probably be a very long, cumbersome thing to do. And I think going forward, if the people really want that, that can be done fairly simply. I think that one of the things that we have a difficult time with, I'm of the older generation. Ron is, but he won't admit it. But
Just
there are
the
a lot of
3-year difference is all I want to admit.
there are a lot of folks out there that don't get into the internet and Facebook and all these other things, and they go to the Wave to see it, and yet the Wave's publication hasn't increased in the same time that the whole valley's doubled in population. The younger generation doesn't look at the newspaper, the older generation doesn't look at social media. So that makes it doubly difficult to be transparent to everybody and give everybody a chance. And yes, some older folks, they can go to Heber City's website and they can't find it because they don't know how to navigate it. And I'll be honest with you, it took me 30 minutes to find something in the Heber Cities today that once I got there, I decided, well, it wasn't that hard, but I just didn't know what I was looking for.
Well, and our question too was, what in the future, what ideas do you have to bridge this gap that we have between the citizens and the city council?
That, I think that we need to continue with the internet and all of that sort of stuff on the Heber City website, but I think that we also ought to probably put more in the newspaper for us older folks to look at, and eventually us older folks are going to die off and everybody's going to be with the internet, and that's going to be wonderful. But right now,
Well, let me
it's
ask
not the
a
case.
question.
The good thing
So-
for you, Jeff, is that I heard that I've got a yes vote now, we've got 3. Moving forward, we can do this recording of votes.
Can I jump in with 2 more quick points?
Okay.
Couple of suggestions. As I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I'm thinking, we have agendas for meetings, but I think what we lack is an agenda for the direction we want to go for an entire quarter or an entire year. And the council we're getting better, but we're still very reactive as a city. And if elected, I really hope to work to change the tone to becoming more proactive, to trying to work towards a vision and achieve that vision. And so as we transition from being reactive to proactive, when we sit down in the January retreats that the council and the planning commission has every year, why not hash out, this is our visionary agenda for the year. This is where we want to go. These are the big, like the 30,000-foot view. These are the big objectives we really want to work towards achieving, and put it out. And then make sure every quarter we say, this is our quarterly agenda. And we publish these ideas so the city knows, this is what my elected representatives are working on this year. These are the things that the city has set as goals, what they've identified as goals, and what they're going to be investing their time and their resources in.
And solicit public input right up
Right.
front.
Because no
Well,
issue should be
and-
so complicated that you can't give a summary.
My 2 cents is, I've shown up to those visionary meetings at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and you guys were there all day. Why aren't you videotaping it so the public can actually hear your discussions? That's my 2 cents, because I've sat there, but who can be there on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning? So these off-site meetings that you guys have, videotape them. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just think there's no issue that's so complicated we can't summarize. And I think those meetings are an opportunity to, instead of videoing, you should be able to speak freely and then come back with a summary. I think if you
But I think the public needs to see how the sausage is made sometimes.
But if you don't have a plan, here's the worry that I have with that. If you are trying to just spitball ideas, and you say something, and it's on video, and then someone says, oh, well, that person said that we should do this, and that's a crazy idea, and that's gonna cost a lot of money, all of a sudden, you have pitchforks and mobs coming to meetings because an idea, not a plan, not something that was strategized, not something that was well-researched, an idea gets shot down before it had any light of day.
Well, and these are public meetings. They're noticed, they are public meetings. It's not like it's some private meeting where you guys come to a strategy section.
I just think
Go
those-
ahead.
that summary needs to allow the citizens to be.
I like the summary,
Right.
because very few people will watch a video. They
Right.
just won't spend 5 hours watching a city council meeting.
No, they won't.
I entirely agree with you. The problem is on us, I guess. We did a summary. They had whiteboards, and we did a summary, prioritization, everything. Ask our city manager where it is and what he did with it. Because we all had goals for the year. We did a summary. We spent not one Saturday, but a Friday and a Saturday.
But why put it on the city manager? As a council, we should be putting those documents together.
Whoever, that's what we hire him to do. We needed to get it out. I'm just telling you, there was a summary made.
I just don't think it's fair to blame an individual when, as a council, this is your plan. This is your vision for the future.
Well, we're talking about how to bridge that gap and how to communicate better
You just-
so, between the council and the citizens. And there's that staff that is part of that bridge. Go ahead.
If I may, you just answered your own question. Communication, when you're talking general public government, has always been an issue, and it always will be an issue. So the question is how do we bridge that communication problem? You have to have people that's not afraid to get in, say what they have to say. I understand what you're saying about, well, I threw this little in there, but it was just an idea. That's why the council has to be one group of people that doesn't have a specific, well, we're up here taking care of our neighborhood, no, we're down here taking care of our neighborhood. It has to be a forum of people that say, listen, here's an idea, what do you think about that? And whether everybody goes, that's a stupid idea, we can't do that, we can't do this, we can't do that. Okay, well, that was a stupid idea, and it gets pitched out. Be realistic, you gotta be friends. Not only have to be friends, but you have to be working together, and you have to have the interest of this city at heart, not on your shoulder.
Anybody else want to comment before we conclude?
I think if we offered free pizza at every council meeting, we'd get more people.
Popcorn, I want popcorn.
And a quarterly open mic night.
Open mic.
Seriously, a quarterly open mic night. Everybody can come and just say, hey, the city should be thinking about this.
Anybody else? We're good?
Cut it
Okay,
out.
Well, popcorn, I just-
thanks.